are with the Omega level nerds. D Square. I don't know if he ever tells you to get in the chopper. Get in it now. Come kill me. I'm here. J100.
Her. Yeah, she was.
I can holler at her. I gotta fight Cyclops and Wolverine to get that Jean Grey. Never mind, forget all that. I'm gonna hit up.
Right, exactly.
Jelly Rose.
But I'm very, very looking forward to a Factor game that does not suck. I'm actually looking forward to more figures since I do collect them.
And Bolsker. Naked.
You know what's funny is I was about to say, could it be that Marvel Girl looks like she's trying to...
That's right. Welcome to the most likely random fireworks edition of the Omega Level Nerds. I am D Square along with Jelly Rose and a special guest, of course, tonight, Chandler Poling, one half of the amazing X-Read podcast, and even moderated an awesome X-Men animated series panel. So welcome to the show, Chandler.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's a big pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for coming to our humble podcast. So let's talk about X Factor here, number 10. There's a lot of to do about the issue. Some criticism, maybe some. Oh, that cover's awesome. Yeah, thankfully I got all the Hellfire Gala suit editions there, which is cool.
Love it.
And so yeah, there's a lot to do about the Hellfire Gala, and we'll talk a little about that. But so X Factor 10, a little bit of controversy. Because, let's face it, the series was cut short really quick, right? Leah Williams was not given, like, hey, you have this many episodes to wrap up these storylines. So, and there's some pretty tough subject matter as well that, you know, has affected some people. But, Chandler, I just wanted to hear from you because, although I have it and read it, obviously, I had not been following the series completely. But I wanted to kind of get your take. What were your thoughts on X Factor 10?
X Factor 10, I really liked it. I thought it was a great book. I thought they really tried to do their best to wrap up a lot of story within an issue and launch a whole new series while they're on top of it. So I felt like the book had to juggle a lot. It had to try to wrap up some story points. It had to somehow tie into the gala that was happening, and launch the trial of Magneto all at the same time. So overall, I really liked the issue.
Yeah,
I mean, I can go into a lot of details on it, but I figured we'll
Yeah, we'll definitely talk a little bit more about it. So, and I also asked Dylan, of course, of the House of X podcast, and he enjoyed it as well. And I think it was a heavy lift for Leah Williams because, like I said, she wasn't told this is how many issues you have to wrap it up. So, you know, we had to hurry up. You know, Shatterstar's mission. Okay, he came back. He was successful. Okay, it's legitimate criticism there if somebody wanted to learn more about that, but he just didn't have the time, you know. So I loved iBoy's new power. That was cool.
That was very neat, yeah.
I did not expect that, so that's a really cool use of his powers. So there was I'm going to say a little bit of controversy because there was a subject matter that was dealt with in this issue that just kind of it did affect some people in a negative way. I don't think it's the majority. So Prodigy, who's on the team, has actually been murdered before, okay? But he's a mutant, so it's a temporary problem at best. But X Factor, they're the mutants that investigate that sort of thing, investigate mutants disappearing, you know, very noirish. And so he revived and started working on his own murder. Well, he finds out he actually got a hold of his cell phone that he left himself that gave him all the information he needed in order to basically bust this serial killer who had killed him. Okay, Prodigy is a homosexual minority, so it was very macabre too because like the serial killer like stuffed him under his stairs in his basement. You know, so a little bit macabre there. some people took it rough. What's your thoughts on that, Chandler? I mean, uh, I read it and
Sure.
I could see, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I can get into this. So this is I don't have the facts in front of me, so forgive me, but this is based
Sure.
off of a real person in Los Angeles, a real serial killer that was targeting young black queer men and murdering them. And what I found fascinating is that Leah Williams used her platform of a comic book to bring up, I think, a really important discussion
Mm-hmm.
of this kind of serial killer, but also this kind of stigmatism that happens where a lot of queer black men feel not safe and whatnot. I'm not black, so I can't speak to their experience, but I'm queer, so I can speak to that experience.
Sure.
But overall, I felt I was glad to see that in the story because I feel like I saw people angry that Leah did it because they felt like she didn't have the right to tell this story as a white woman.
Yeah.
And my response to that was nobody had done it yet, and who knows if anybody was going to do it in the future. And I feel like it's a story and an issue to bring up. And so she's definitely, from the queer community and definitely somebody who is sensitive enough to I think handle that deftly. And so I figure of all the people, I'm so glad that she brought this kind of
Mm-hmm.
subject to light. So I thought it was good.
Yeah, yeah, well said. Good to hear. Yeah, I agree, but again, I'm not going to have the right perspective on this, so I'm glad you could speak to that. The other the other criticism I heard is so Dawkins and his uh significant other, as they're learning about this serial killer, kind of gets them hot and they go off and do their thing. And
Yeah.
listen, Dawkins, at some point, so like I get the character has definitely
He
evolved and
froze.
oh, he did. Oh, there we go. We got him. I know that Dawkins is definitely evolving from kind of that to a newer, uh, easier to swallow character, but it is Dawkins, so I don't know. But again, that's something that some deemed a little bit too macabre, but I don't know. To me, it fits the character as I know him. But again, I know through X Factor, he's become something a little bit different. So did you find that particularly disturbing, or?
I mean, I don't know Dawkins that well. I'm not
Okay,
familiar with him prior to X Factor, so I never
gotcha.
read any issues that featured him at all. I like him a lot as a character. I think the way that what were people turned off by because he was getting like
Kind of getting turned on by
turned
the
on.
serial killer facts. That was kind of something he was into. So just getting the details of the murder were some took it as, oh, he got hot by that. So him and his woman went off and
Oh, yeah. Well, the way I read it, I just reread the issue in preparation, and the way that I read that scene is that he was getting turned on by Aurora for being aggressive towards the serial killer type. So
right.
not the discussion of serial killing, but because the girl that he's dating was talking about basically beating up this, monster dude, and he
Yeah.
was just like, "Ooh, that's hot. I want to hear you talk more about beating up this guy."
So there's different
Like, yeah,
levels of
babe, go get it.
right. Yeah, exactly. Like when my wife yells at the kids, like, yes, all right. So yeah, there's definitely some interpretation that can be had there. So I agree. I didn't exactly, get the whole like always being turned on by the murderous details, but some took it that way. So okay,
Yeah, I didn't see that at all.
yeah, I'm with you on that. So we're speaking to the controversies now, Jelly. Okay, you're sitting down, so I don't have to ask you if you're sitting down. But okay, couple of things on this. The whole Hellfire Gala, by the way. You know what? I actually kind of enjoyed it, to be honest with you. I know a lot of people online poo-pooed it, but I actually get it 100%. The mutants,
Good.
Yeah, I mean the mutants are they're strutting their stuff, man. They're saying, "Hey, everyone, come to the island. You know, look at what we're gonna do. The fireworks, which look at us terraform a planet. Come watch this.
Crazy.
That's major stuff, but they pulled it off. Like 1 in a million. Boom. Akaro now on Mars. Which I don't know if Krakoa is happy to watch his bay get warped into another planet, but okay. We'll deal with that later.
They were fighting, so
Right.
I guess they needed more space.
Exactly. Exactly. So Jelly, I sent you that picture of our two stands, Colossus and Dr. Doom talking at the gala. That was kind of cool.
Oh, that was super cute.
Yeah, I did. I mean, we don't know what they said, but it's like, oh, Colossus, Dr. Doom. That looks cool. And there's all
You're
sorts
metal,
of stuff like that.
I'm metal.
Right.
I lovely shade of metal. Do you like
Yeah.
my hue going on? That's what I'm gonna go with.
Yeah, let's chat it up. So outside of that, though, the major things for the gala were these fireworks that I just talked about, where they basically took the Akaro and Akaro mutants and gave them a new home. But then we get the new X-Men team. They treat everybody to enjoy, seeing the new X-Men team. But so X Factor 10 is kind of the end of the gala. I think there's a cable issue, but this is pretty much was like at the end of the gala. And so Jelly, what happens here is they find Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch was invited to the gala along with a lot of other people, but Magneto invited her. And X Factor finds her dead. I don't know if you knew that or not. Scarlet Witch is...
You sent me a link and I cried. I literally was like, no, my girl.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I think I posted on Twitter like fuck Magneto or something.
So yeah, that's gonna lead into the trial of
I
Magneto.
click on it because I'm like,
yeah.
I don't like Marvel no more. They killed my girl.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure she'll come back, but it'll be interesting, this whole trial of Magneto, which Leah Williams is going to write that, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So so that's cool. She'll get to continue kind of that part. So it's very fitting that that is discovered in X Factor number 10. So yeah, I mean, again, I saw a lot of people kind of roll their eyes at the gala, but I don't know, after reading, because I didn't go to my comic shop for a while. It's kind of far away from me, so it's kind of a struggle. So I kind of get my stuff kind of boom, dropped in on me, and then I catch up. But I don't know, I really enjoyed it. I really did. I thought it was cool. Yeah, I think it's a whole cool concept.
It's a 5-minute walk, but I'm fat and lazy.
Yeah. Well, you're not fat and lazy, but who wants to walk?
Yeah, I'm a weekly comic book shop goer.
Yeah,
so I'm always driving to the comic book shop every Wednesday.
Yeah, I wish I could get back to that.
I like the Hellfire Gala a lot. I thought the gala was fantastic, and I really enjoyed it more than Ten of Swords, which I felt to be very confusing and weird. And Hellfire Gala, I thought was just fantastic. And I thought the whole terraforming of Mars was done beautifully and really set up an interesting dynamic in the Marvel universe, that now there is UN or whatever, United Nations of the solar systems now on Mars, where the solar system of Sol is now on Mars. And I like how Storm represents all of the solar system now. She's the queen of the literal universe.
Yes. Thank you for mentioning that. So yes, Storm is queen of Mars, absolutely, which is very, very, very cool. And I know, and I like how, like you said, NASA and the United States are like all mad because the mutants get to claim Mars before we did, but they're like, well, but we wouldn't have been able to do it for like ever, so who knows? So why be mad? Okay, great. And then, other than that, the only other, so we learned through Jordan White recently in an interview that Hickman, although is still involved, he's not. They're veering away from his story. a little bit. His original vision has been modified, and it is going to be more of a collective thing. He's getting the Claremont deal, where he's really not going to be working that much, but they're going to get to use his name as like one of the bigger writers here. Of course, Jerry Duggan is going to take over the mainline X-Men. Did you have any feelings regards into learning that they are kind of pivoting away from Hickman's original vision, or are you enjoying it so much that you're like, hey, if this is they're going to keep doing this, I'm all in? What are your thoughts there, Chandler?
Oh, well, so a little bit of a backup on my story with comics is that, I definitely was a big reader in the 90s and then lightly through the early 2000s. And then I took about a 10-year break, and I came back with House of X and Powers of 10. And I got deep back into X-Men comics and going to the comic book shop weekly, as I said. And so I really enjoy how it all started. Where it's been going, I don't think it doesn't feel like it has any direction. So this
Yeah.
this is the first time I'm hearing the news that it's pivoting, and I hope it's pivoting to a good direction, because I felt like they kept introducing things and not completing things, and I thought Ten of Swords was a big mess, and I really, up until Hellfire Gala, I was dropping off titles. I was like not reading like Excalibur or Cable, or I was just dropping them off of my pull list because I wasn't enjoying them. They weren't really coming to me. But I do look forward to Jerry Dugan doing X-Men, because I do think he is a good writer, even though I know he does Cable. But I love his Marauders. So
yeah, Marauders.
I think he can do good work.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not so sure about Cable, but yeah, Marauders is definitely cool. So I really don't have any worries there. And I think Hickman's Inferno event's going to be interesting. I think that's going to be very, very interesting. So I'll be looking forward to that myself. All right, well, cool beans. Well, hey, we're going to go ahead and take a short break. Thank you, Chandler, for stopping by. So very much appreciate your perspective on X Factor, the Hellfire Gala. I know I had been kind of criticizing, like you said, the lack of direction, so I'm right there with you. But if pivoting means that we will get more of a direction here, then I'm all for it. So, but again, thank you very much, Chandler, for stopping by tonight. Everyone, go out there and, make sure you download the X Reads podcast and follow Chandler on Twitter. In fact, where can we follow you, Chandler?
Sure. Well, you can find my podcast on social media. We are X Reads Podcast. That's the letter X, READS Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And you can find me personally. It's my first and last name, Chandler, CHANDLER, and last name is Poling, POLING.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much again, sir. We will be right back in about 30 seconds.
Thanks for having me.
夢じゃないファイナルファンタジー6 4月2日スーパーファミコンで発売スクエア夢じゃないスーパーファミコンソフトファイナルファンタジー6スクエア
あ、ロックやっと会えたファイナルファンタジー携帯機完全移植計画いよいよクライマックスへファイナルファンタジー6アドバンスファイネストボックス当たる
Burn it, burn rubber.
Burn rubber, that's right. Burn rubber like the fireworks that are burning outside.
I love fire. I'm
You know
going
what?
to eat me a s'more. I got Reese's.
Oh, that sounds nice. It is funny. When we go camping and stuff, it's like, but you just sit there and you look at the fire, and it's entertaining. Campfire TV. All right, so our last subject here tonight. Let's go ahead and get into Jelly. Loki episode 4. Very, very shocking. So, really quick, before we get into spoiler territory. What were your thoughts? Give us a 1 to 5 rating.
Because I cried, I want to go with a 5.5.
Okay. What made you cry? Well, I guess we'll do that in spoilers, but okay, a
Yeah, we'll
crying,
do that in the spoilers.
a crying 5.5. Okay. I'll definitely give it a strong 4.5. I think we get to learn a lot more about the misdeeds of the TVA. Jelly made actually a prediction on the last show that we're getting some, Wizard of Oz vibes, and after seeing this show, I absolutely would say that's exactly what we got. So I'm gonna give Loki episode 4 4.5 on the Omega level yay or nay scale. All right, so let's get into the spoiler alerts here. And let's start with, I'm interested, what made you cry?
Well, it's we got to start from the beginning.
Okay.
We kind of leave them to where they're on this exploding planet because they get there from the temp pad and the temp pad's broke and
Mm-hmm.
they're starting to bond with each other at this point because they're like we gonna die, let's talk, let's sit on this rock.
Yeah.
And they kind of, bond and stuff. And meanwhile, over at the TVA, they're freaking the fuck out. Like, we've been betrayed. Where are they? What are they doing?
Mm-hmm.
We kind of get to see mini Sylvie. And when she was, taken away by the TVA, she's sitting there playing with, some toys, and they come and they're like, okay, we're taking you. And she's, scared little girl, doesn't know what's going on. And she manages to escape. And guess who her captor was the chick that is, judging everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, well, Miss Little Snooty got promoted.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, I mean,
let's
we
see, what
never
else?
actually learn like what she did wrong. That's the thing. At least not
No.
yet.
And, she asked too, because, the TVA, they find them just about as everything's about to explode. And they're like, we're kind of saved.
Yeah.
So they snatch both of them up. They detain them. They throw Loki in this fucking loop with Civ, like, kicking
him in
him in the groin over and over. He's just like, no, stop, no more.
Yeah.
But we don't get to see really what happens to Sylvie because Mobius keeps getting told, she's too dangerous. She's too dangerous. And we learn that Hunter C20 has been killed. And
Mm-hmm.
later we see that's because she kind of seen some shit and knows that, hey, we're all variants.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck? I was happy. I was drinking margaritas.
Yep.
Like, my friends were there. So, like, they're starting to learn this shit. And, Loki tells Mobius, hey, you're all variants too. And, of course, at first he doesn't believe it. And then he, swipes, Chick's tempad to look at, classified information or whatever he
Mm-hmm.
does. I don't remember what he was doing. Oh, that's when he
saw
found the video.
Right. Yes. Yep.
And then, at the same time,
sees that Renslayer knew, like, because Renslayer was like, oh, she was babbling, she was incoherent. But the video shows that Renslayer was talking to her and she was talking just fine. It's just the fact that she knows she's a variant. So
he knows too much, so we got to get rid of her. So then, at the same time, was it Hunter C15 was the one that was taking care of Sylvie?
Mm-hmm.
And she learns, Sylvie shows her past. And she's like, it broke my heart because she's like, I I looked happy.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, she's, she wasn't believing any of this, but then, she's like, originally when she touched her, she's like, I seen some stuff. What did you do to me? She's like, I didn't do anything to you. Those are your memories. I
Yeah.
can't create an ad. I can only show. So then at that point, they go up to meet the lizard people.
Yeah, the
time
space
I couldn't
lizards.
think of their name.
Yeah,
And,
Renslayer. Yeah, Renslayer's taking them, Sylvie and Loki to meet the Timekeepers, which I thought was like, why do you got to take them in front of the Timekeepers to kill them? But okay, whatever. We're gonna get to see the Timekeepers, and that's when Sylvie asked Renslayer, like, "Do you even remember what I did that caused a Nexus?" And she's
Right.
like, had like a
What
creepy
was my
smile.
Nexus event?
Yeah, what was my
What was
Nexus
my
event?
Nexus? She's like, I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Like,
And by the
bitch.
way, the
Oh.
only reason Sylvie and Loki are alive, by the way, is because, like you were describing, they're getting close to one another, like the end is coming, and so I guess the way I am interpreting it is they love each other, and that Loki loving Loki caused a Nexus event, which helped Mobius to find out where they were and take them from that planet that was being destroyed. Only for basically Loki to finally convince Mobius that shit ain't all right. You're a variant. And so he kind of goes up against Renslayer and says, you know what, remember when you asked me where I want to go? I'll tell you where I want to go. Wherever you took me from. That's where I want to go. Maybe I had a jet ski.
That made me sad too.
Yeah.
This episode was just sad. So,
it was.
C-15, she gets her memory back. We already know that C-20 died.
Mm-hmm.
C-15's like, I was happy. Mobius done dies because shit kills him because he's like, maybe I'll be on my jet ski. And it's like, oh. So then, we got our Wizard of Oz bullshit because obviously Loki is not going on down without a fight because the freaking 15 shows up and throws, one of the Lokis a dagger.
Yeah,
and
Sylvie's sword, I think. But so yeah, they go. So Renslayer takes him after she kills Mobius. She takes him into this Timekeeper's chamber to presumably execute them. And yeah, we get the time. We see that we are Time Slayers, the Timekeepers, and we see them, and they're all set up like there's some sort of like Chuck E. Cheese animatronic, creepy looking fuckers. So there's a tussle inside the chamber. Sylvie takes her sword because, like you said, that other hunter that now realizes she's a variant throws her sword. She whips it at the middle Timekeeper, decapitates him, and then our thoughts are confirmed. They're just like robots. And the others are all like laughing creepily, like, I'm like, oh boy, this is creepy.
It's like, what the freaking Freddy, Five Nights at Freddy is going on here.
Yeah.
Because, we got the Wizard of Oz theme. Somebody's pulling rope, pulling it behind everything. So were these originally beings, but they're dead because, their lifespans are only so long? And, they used, they AI programmed these, or they did something to, like, leave their presence behind? Or, like, is somebody just behind these things pulling the ropes after the original ones died? And what is her, what is her relationship with it? Because she seems to be one of the only ones that actually goes and talks to them. Is she in control, or does she know who's in control? Because then at this point,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
At this point, our Loki is confessing to our Sylvie, and she fucking zaps him.
Yeah, she does.
So then I'm crying even more. I've already done cried, like, a bunch of times during this freaking episode, which, by the way, Tom said that 4 and 5 are his favorite episodes. I read that somewhere.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Apparently, the next one's going to be good too. I swear, if I have to cry some more, I'm going to be mad.
Yeah, you had to deal with a lot lately. Scarlet Witch, death in the comics. Now this episode, like, So yes, so as she says, Loki gets hit with one of the glow sticky things. So presumably he's dead. So yeah, we see, Loki and Mobius in the span of one episode get disintegrated. But there is a after credits scene that shows Loki. He thinks he's like, oh, am I in hell? But then you see alternate Lokis. There's like the original comic book accurate Loki. There's a alligator Loki, Kid Loki,
And then
boastful
there's
Loki.
another.
Yeah, but with the hammer. That's the one that has the hammer. He's the Loki with the hammer, Loki the boastful. So, which leads me to believe that when they hit people with the glowy sticks, I don't think they're disintegrating them. I think they're sending them to wherever this is. And we see like the ruined Avengers Tower in the background. So, obviously, like a desolate, post-apocalyptic planet. I think they're sending all these, when they're, what is it, clip them, prune them, or whatever it is. I think this is what happens to them. As far as Renslayer go, being the only ones that talk to the timekeepers, so I think what we're going to see here is there is a comic book storyline where Renslayer is pretty much working for Kang the Conqueror. Kang the Conqueror is already confirmed for Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, so we could see an introduction of sorts to Kang the Conqueror. That's the only thing that makes sense to me now that we learned that the timekeepers are bunk. Which I'm glad to learn, because otherwise that's kind of a even for a comic book movie, that's kind of a hokey storyline. Like, oh, the three... Yeah, well, I felt all the same emotions that Loki felt in the first episode. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. What are you talking about? Three fucking space lizards? Like, yeah, it is ridiculous. So, I'm glad that's the case. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that we're going to get at least some sort of introduction to Kang the Conqueror here, which would be cool. But I don't think
my thing is, like, is Loki going to be able to, like, meet up with Mobius on this, unknown planet?
Yeah.
I'm hoping, the BFFs get to reunite. Like, oh, I was, head too. That bitch got me too.
Well, yeah, maybe we'll see multiple Mobiuses that are like, yeah, she keeps zapping us. And there's like 5 of them there.
Oh no! Right, because
that's why those
like
rings
she's really
are
attached to him.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
She's a friendship like ours is, what does she say? Complicated or something like that.
She keeps saying, he's like, am I your favorite or whatever? And he kind of like looks at the rings, and she's like, those are all from you. And he's kind of looking at them like, are you sure?
Yeah. Yep. Definitely sus.
And that part makes more sense now.
Yeah. It does. So the TVA is not all it's cracked up to be. It's starting to lose hunters because they're coming to the realization with Sylvie's help that they are variants. Tom Hiddleston Loki convinced Mobius right before he died. Kidnapping people. Right. So they gotta go down. So, yeah, sounds like the last 2 episodes are going to be super exciting. Again, we know we're going to see Loki because we already saw Loki survived with the end credit scene, but now we just got to keep our fingers crossed for Mobius. And unfortunately, the poor Hunter, I don't think there's much. Well, she may be there too. So maybe we'll get a super happy last couple of episodes or last episode or something.
Just everyone pissed off on a planet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe we'll get that one guy that was like, that guy didn't give me a ticket. I asked for a ticket. Right. Maybe we'll see that grumpy guy again.
Yeah, from the first. Yeah. And also, I don't know if you noticed this too, but so like the people that are in the control room, you remember that guy that Sylvia saw that needed help when she first got there? He had like the long black hair, thick mustache. Anyway, that's the same guy that's working in the control room of the TVA too. So I didn't notice that until someone pointed it out on YouTube. So definitely more sus. So Yeah, so we'll definitely be excited to check out the next 2 Loki episodes as this season concludes. All right, well, that's it for this special holiday edition of Omega Level Nerds. We'll get back to our s'mores and campfires and whatnot. But before we do, Jelly Rose, let us know where we can find you.
You can find me mainly on Twitch at Jelly Rose. You can find me on socials, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok at J3LI3ROS3. And you can go check out my team at ccteam.net.
Awesome. You can check me out on Twitter at DSquare72, but more importantly, follow us at Omega Level Nerds for the show. Get updates on news articles. We'd love to hear from you there. Let us know if you have any questions or ideas. Comment down below what you think of the topics that we talked about today. What's your thoughts on X Factor number 10 and the difficult situation that deals with? And what are your thoughts on seeing all those variant Lokis on the end credits scene of Loki episode 4? Let us know down in the comments. Destroy that subscribe and notification bell so you always know. Ring it. Ring a ding ding.
Ding.
So you know when it is Nerd 30 time. Until next week, everyone, peace and love, and we'll talk to you again